Deathstroke is one of those DC characters who doesn't need much introduction. Every time he shows up, things get serious fast. But the version we're about to see in DC's Absolute Universe feels, let's just say, different. No, I'm not talking about just in design or setting, but in how carefully he's being brought into the story. So far, we've only seen small hints and connections that don't fully make sense yet. And that's exactly what makes this interesting. Because when a character like Slade Wilson is held back deliberately, it usually means something bigger is coming. So today, we're breaking down everything we actually know about Absolute Deathstroke. No guesses, no filler. Just the facts that are already out there. Let's get into it. When does Absolute Deathstroke actually show up? If you've been following DC's Absolute Universe closely, you might have noticed that Deathstroke has been lingering around the edges for some time. However, his true introduction isn't behind us yet. It's coming up soon. Scott Snyder has confirmed that Absolute Deathstroke will make his first full appearance in Absolute Batman issue 19, scheduled for release on April 15th of 2026. This means everything we've seen till now serves mainly as small hints scattered throughout the Absolute arc. DC has been very intentional in how they're handling this character. Rather than throwing him into the story immediately as a direct threat, they've chosen to build anticipation first. This approach suggests that this version of Slade Wilson isn't meant to be just another villain among Batman's foes. Instead, he's being positioned to have a real impact. It also reflects the pacing strategy. The Absolute Universe tends to introduce its major players gradually. Take Joker, for example. His introduction came with multiple layers, and it seems Deathstroke is receiving similar care. So, when Deathstroke finally takes center stage in issue 19, his appearance won't come out of nowhere. It'll feel justified and meaningful. Also, I must tell you guys that issue 19 isn't purely a Deathstroke issue. The official solicitation actually centers on Absolute Scarecrow emerging from the shadows of Ark M, marking the start of a new arc. Deathstroke is in it, but he's not the headliner. Scott Snyder himself described it as, "It's the beginning of our Scarecrow arc. It also deals with the concept of Robin. It's got Deathstroke in it." So, think of issue 19 less as Deathstroke's big solo debut, and more as the opening chapter of something much larger. One that Snyder is already calling the biggest arc of the run yet, spanning all the way to issue 25. Wait, didn't we already see him before? Yes, and that's where the story takes an intriguing turn. Although Absolute Deathstroke technically appeared first in Absolute Batman issue 9, which released in June of last year, it wasn't in the way most would expect. He didn't burst into the scene with action or immediate impact. In fact, he wasn't even present in the current timeline. Instead, he appeared simply in a photograph, a simple black and white image clearly dated and labeled Slade Wilson and Joker standing side by side in formal suits. Both appear calm and collected. That quiet composure actually makes the image feel more unsettling. This single panel carried a lot of weight. It confirmed Deathstroke's presence in this universe. It established a direct connection to Joker. Most importantly, it suggested a shared history rather than a chance partnership. While this isn't explicitly stated, all signs point to Slade being the subject of that description. Rather than introducing Deathstroke through action, the story chooses to reveal him through memory, through loss, and through something already broken. Now this brings us to our next question. Why is he already tied to the Joker? This marks perhaps the most significant change, one that really shifts how we understand this version of Deathstroke. From what's been revealed so far, Slade isn't acting on his own this time. He's already linked to none other than the Joker. This connection appears in two key moments. First, like I said before, the photograph in issue 9 of Absolute Batman, and more explicitly in Absolute Batman Ark M, the special comic. DC hasn't fully explained the details of their relationship yet, so it's premature to label Slade as a henchman or a partner. Still, it's clear they're aligned in some way, which sounds weird to me since Deathstroke traditionally operates solo. Everyone knows that. He's methodical, controlled, and doesn't get involved with chaos without a purpose. There must be some deeper context we haven't yet uncovered. Plus, the Joker referring to him as my Deathstroke implies a sense of possession that adds tension to their relationship. Whatever their bond is far from casual, and it doesn't appear to be short-lived either. What is Ark M and why is Deathstroke connected to it? To understand where Absolute Deathstroke fits into the story, we should shift our focus a bit to Ark M, as that's the setting he's drawn into. His first significant appearance occurs in Absolute Batman Ark M's special comic book, where the Joker's broader scheme begins to unfold. Although DC hasn't explicitly stated it, Ark M seems to be this universe's distorted version of Arkham. It's more than just a place that holds madness, it actively uses that madness as a weapon. Ark M is portrayed not only as a facility, but as a system with real psychological and physical threats. This approach turns Gotham's troubled minds into components of a larger plan. Instead of introducing Deathstroke as a separate figure, the story places him already inside this structure. This choice suggests that Deathstroke isn't an outsider or a late arrival. Rather, he's deeply involved in one of the universe's most dangerous developments. Moreover, the special highlights that the Joker is no longer working alone. He's assembling a complex operation, and Slade is part of that plan. This changes Deathstroke's role significantly. In the context of the Absolute Universe, where things often verge on chaos, Deathstroke's connection to Ark M does more than make him relevant. It places him at the heart of the story and whatever conflict is set to unfold next. What is the history between Deathstroke and Alfred? Out of everything we know so far, this might be the most important question, and the one that gives Absolute Deathstroke real weight. The story strongly suggests that Slade Wilson and Alfred Pennyworth share some kind of past, as described in the line Brothers in Arms, and is further expanded upon in discussions by Scott Snyder. According to that, Slade and Alfred weren't just acquaintances. It seems like they trained together, fought alongside each other, and had a long-standing bond before things fell apart. Snyder even compared their dynamic to Obi-Wan Kenobi and Darth Vader, which immediately tells you what kind of relationship we're dealing with. I feel Alfred is carrying some kind of guilt, feeling he let Slade down and now struggling to face him again. That adds a completely different layer to Deathstroke's role. Rather than just being a villain of Batman, this time he's also a reminder of something Alfred couldn't fix. And in a universe like this, where characters are already dealing with harsher realities, that emotional baggage could become really heavy. It means when Slade finally steps forward, the conflict won't just be physical. It's gonna hit on a level that Batman isn't even directly responsible for, and that makes it far more dangerous. Deathstroke is already tied to the core of the story. I feel that what will make Absolute Deathstroke stand out is how and where he fits within it. He connects directly to two key threads in this run. On one level, like I mentioned, he's involved in the unfolding events around Ark M, which places him firmly at the heart of the current conflict sparked by Joker. On another level, his history with Alfred opens up a separate dimension focused on personal history and unresolved tensions, distinct from the chaos in Gotham. This kind of dual role is uncommon. Most villains tend to stay in a single narrative lane, but Deathstroke is embedded in two, which hints that his presence isn't just for a brief stint. Instead, he seems woven into the very foundation of the story. Furthermore, considering how Absolute Batman has developed his world so far, methodically, with a clear plan laid out ahead, it's clear the characters introduced at this depth aren't just passing through. They're expected to remain and grow alongside the story. So, the real insight isn't whether Deathstroke will be important, it's that he's already deeply connected to the story's core in a way few characters achieve early on. Is this version of Deathstroke being built more for brutality than strategy? Deathstroke has always been recognized for his precision, can we agree? I'm talking about his tendency to carefully plan and execute every move with control. However, the Absolute version seems to take a different approach, leaning more toward a direct style. I won't say reckless, but it's noticeably more aggressive. The cover of issue 19 of Absolute Batman already shows a larger Deathstroke, with a more robotic, armored look than fans are used to. The design alone tells you this version isn't here to be subtle. For Slade, this likely means acting with less hesitation between decision and execution. His danger still comes from his skill, but now the world he inhabits appears to value raw force nearly as much as careful strategy. Even the way he's introduced, through the chaotic events surrounding Joker and systems like Ark M, puts him in scenarios where clashes seem unavoidable. If this pattern continues, then this Deathstroke might not only be a mind sharper than Batman's, but also someone who forces Batman into sudden fights he can't really anticipate or prepare for. Remember Arkham Origins? Man, I still have nightmares about that boss fight. What does his arrival mean for the future of Absolute Batman? So far, Absolute Batman has focused largely on psychological tension, with the Joker playing a central role through his manipulative and long-term plans. Deathstroke's entrance signals a change, not by abandoning this mood, but by adding a new dimension to it. Slade brings a different kind of threat, one that's more physical and direct. This threat doesn't replace Joker's mental games. Instead, it can work alongside them just fine, raising the stakes. Batman now faces not not only someone aiming to break him mentally, but also an opponent who can match him in combat and push him into immediate fights. When you factor in Alfred's involvement, the situation becomes even more complex. This isn't merely about introducing a new villain, it's about expanding the story's scope. There are now more elements at play, more pressure points, and more ways for things to spiral out of control. If the Absolute universe keeps moving in this direction, Deathstroke won't just be part of Batman's future. He'll be a major reason why that future becomes much tougher for Batman to navigate. And the scale of what Snyder is building here is hard to overstate. Absolute Batman has already moved nearly 3 million units on its own, with the broader Absolute line crossing 8.5 million total, and those numbers have only gone up since. When a book performing at that level brings in a character like Deathstroke at this depth, it's not a side story, it's a statement. Absolute Deathstroke is shaping up to be something very different and possibly one of the most important additions to this universe moving forward. And the scary part is, we've only seen the surface so far. If you enjoyed this breakdown and want more deep dives like this, make sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel, ring that bell icon, and let me know what you want us to cover next. I'll see you in the next one.